tournament game, but most importantly, the field is set. The Houston Cougars are going to be the number 1 seed in the Midwest region. They're the number 2 seed overall in the NCAA tournament. They're going to be in the same bracket as Texas. That's the biggest thing, the biggest name that sticks out, but obviously Xavier to Indiana, and arguably what could be a bit of a tricky matchup, the 8 and 9 seed, a potential second round matchup when it comes to Auburn. But of course, all eyes now turn to Northern Kentucky, who Houston will play in on Thursday. Joining me as always, Kris Gardner of the Houston Roundball Review and Dayon Dunlap. How are you two doing? And let's jump right into it. What are you guys' initial reactions from the bracket unveiled here on Selection Sunday?
Clearly, I guess obviously the committee members who emphasized metrics won out over the committee members who emphasized the number of quad 1 wins, because Houston got the number 1 seed, the second overall number 1, and Kansas did not. So good for that. Houston is in the Kansas City region for the Midwest. Northern Kentucky is a first-round opponent. Northern Kentucky beat Cincinnati earlier in the season by 13 points. So Houston has some really direct ties to contact Coach Miller and the Bearcats about that opponent, get some video, more info on them, get some insight on them. So that could be a benefit for Houston on Thursday.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think the results are as I expected. Like, I wasn't really paying much attention to all the mock tournament. I don't know how the proper term to use, but I really wasn't paying attention to those. And so I'm excited. Just looking at the field, looking at the route that Houston has to take, definitely is it going to be easy? I think it's a game-to-game matchup that Houston is going to have to take advantage of. So I'm excited.
When it comes to Houston and specifically heading into the NCAA tournament, Kris, you were there when the team learned of what seed they were going to be in, what region they were going to be in. The thing that stood out to me was head coach Kelvin Sampson making sure that he told his players, take out your phones, make sure that you capture this moment, because at the end of the day, every year there's only 4 number 1 seeds, and Houston this season is fortunate enough to be one of those 4 top seeds.
And I'm being picky, but Coach initially said, take out your cameras, showing his age generation. And the Lawrence said, take out your phones. But, hey, it's a special deal. And I want to get a comment from Joe Mendez on the screen, because it is so true. Number 1 in the Midwest and number 2 overall seed. Who would have thought 9 years ago that this would be happening? And that's the truth. 9 years ago, this program was in the dumps. Before Coach Sampson took over, the building was old and dilapidated. The administration wasn't doing their part. Fan apathy had set in. And look at the program now. 31-3 and the second overall number 1 seed. Salute to Coach Kelvin Sampson and his staff.
Kris, Dayon, whenever you look at the overall brackets, I'm going to pull onto the screen the big bracket, which it's going to be hard to zoom in on, but that's the overall bracket. I want to focus in on the Midwest region specifically first, because like I mentioned, Houston's the number 1 overall seed. They're going to be facing the 16th seed Northern Kentucky on Thursday. The winner between Houston and Northern Kentucky will play Iowa and Auburn on the fall. Is going to be Thursday, so that'll be on Saturday. I believe that's when the second round game will be. Right. And like I said, that'll take place in Birmingham, Alabama. Kris, again, the first thing that Coach Kelvin Sampson said when the region popped up is Birmingham, or Auburn in Birmingham. Those were the first words out of his mouth, so we'll focus in on that too. But then looking across, 5-seeded Miami will take on the 12-seed Drake. Number 4, Indiana will take on Kent State, who, again, that's another team that the Houston Cougars have personal experience with. And that could be a very interesting matchup between Kent State and Indiana. The 6th seed, Iowa State, will be taking on the winner of Mississippi State and Pitt, while the 3-seeded Xavier will take on Kennesaw State, the 14th seed Kennesaw State, and in the same region with Texas A&M, the 7th seed, who will take on Penn State in the first round. And of course, like I mentioned, the 2-seeded Texas Longhorns taking on Colgate as the 15th seed. A lot of Texas teams in the region. What overall stood out to you about the Midwest?
I'm reading these comments from fans. Boy, y'all are something else, man. But I was surprised Texas A&M got a 7 seed. I thought they would get a seed better than that, but the non-conference, I guess, clearly was an issue. Strength of schedule for the Aggies. They were the second best team all season in the SEC, but only a 7 seed in this region. But it sets up a possible A&M Texas matchup in the second round, which would be fun for those two programs. And the hatred between them is long and storied. But the Cougs, have to beat Northern Kentucky. And as Coach Sampson said, when a colleague asked him about, the elephant in the room about Final Four being in Houston, Coach Sampson stopped him before the question got finished being asked. Northern Kentucky is who we're focused on, period. Northern Kentucky is our opponent, and then you worry about everything else after that. Auburn, Iowa it's an 8-9 matchup, so it should be competitive, should be fun, entertaining. Auburn, their guards are up and down and have issues. But hey, first things first, Cougs beat Northern Kentucky on Thursday, then go from there.
Yeah, I got to take care of business with Northern Kentucky. Hopefully Marcus is ready. I think I saw the clip. He said he should be 100%. And so he's definitely needed, and it really stuck out today how much he's really needed with his team. And so definitely got to take care of business against Northern Kentucky. And if they do that, whoever the winner out of Iowa and Auburn, it's going to be a tough matchup. I like the matchup with either one. Auburn does have some tough guards who settle for a lot of threes, but they're a tough, gritty group, and they played some tough, stiff competition, and they've beaten some good competition and lost some, and so it's tough. I think Miami is a really good team with really good guards and experience. Also in the region, Xavier is a team that I've seen play a few times this year who has some really good guards and is good in the region. And of course, Texas has some really good quality guards. They have some really good momentum, and they're one of the oldest teams in the NCAA this year. And so that experience, I think, will help them. And so it's a lot of good matchups. Texas A&M, a good, tough, gritty team who focuses on toughness and so it's going to be all about matchups. I don't know which team is going to make it out, so you take it one game at a time to see.